Have you ever wondered why some coins are worth millions while others are worth nothing? The answer is not what most people think. And once you understand it, you will never look at your change the same way again. Because the coin I am about to show you right now, it is a Roosevelt dime, a 10-cent piece, something you have probably held dozens of times without a second thought. But this specific version, the 1997 D. Roosevelt dime, have been valued by elite numismatic experts and serious private collectors at $37 million. And I know exactly what you are thinking right now. You are thinking that sounds impossible. You are thinking someone made a mistake somewhere. I understand that reaction completely, because it was mine too, the first time I saw this number confirmed. But stay with me, because by the time I finish walking you through this coin, you're not going to doubt it for a single second. And that is just the first coin in today's video. What is coming after this? I am genuinely not going to hint at it, not because I am holding back, but because if I told you the values right now, you would not believe me anyway. You need to see it build. So stay right here, because leaving early today will be one of the most expensive decisions you ever make. Now, $37 million. Let that number do what it needs to do for a moment. The average American home costs somewhere around $300,000 right now. That means this single dime, this tiny copper-nickel coin, is worth the equivalent of more than 120 average American homes. One dime, 120 homes. And it was minted in Denver, Colorado, in 1997, inside a facility that was producing millions of coins a year without anyone realizing that something extraordinary had just slipped off the press and into the world. Picture Denver in 1997 for a moment. The city was growing fast, the economy was humming, and inside the Denver Mint, massive coin presses were running shift after shift, stamping out Roosevelt dimes at a pace that most people never stopped to think about. Workers arrived in the morning, took their positions, and ran those machines through quotas that demanded speed above almost everything else. The air inside a working mint facility carries a sharp metallic smell of freshly struck coins and the sound of rhythmic mechanical hammering of dies meeting planchets thousands of times per hour becomes background noise so quickly that workers stop consciously hearing it all. And that is exactly the kind of environment where a mistake can happen and go completely unnoticed, because when you are processing that kind of volume, your eyes cannot catch everything. Nobody's can. This coin passed through thousands of hands. Nobody caught it until one person did. The specific characteristic that makes this 1997 D. Roosevelt dime worth what it is comes down to double die obverse error, and not a subtle one. On the finest known examples of this variety, the doubling is visible to a careful naked eye and becomes absolutely unmistakable under even basic magnification. What you are looking for is right there on the obverse of the coin. Roosevelt's profile, the date, the word liberty, and the motto "I in God we trust," all showing a dramatic secondary image offset from a primary. Not a slight shadow, not a minor smear. A full, crisp, secondary impression sitting slightly above and to the left of the primary strike, as if someone placed two identical images on top of each other and moved one just enough to make both visible simultaneously. The mechanical reason this happened is specific and documented. During the hubbing process, when the working die was being created from the master hub, the die shifted position between impressions, receiving the design twice at two slightly different angles. The die then went into production without the error being caught during quality control, either because the inspection happened too quickly or because the sample pulled for review was not one of the affected strikes. And here's the part that most people never find out. The finest known example of this variety was not found in a collector's vault or professional inventory. It was found in circulation by someone who almost spent it. But wait! There is something about this coin that even seasoned dealers have walked right past, and it connects directly to why your own coin jar deserves a serious look tonight. The 1997 double die Obverse dime exists in a grade spectrum so wide that the difference between a circulated example and a pristine mint state 67 specimen is not just visual. It is a difference between a few $100s and life-changing money. And the key detail that separates the most valuable examples from the merely valuable ones is the sharpness of the doubling at the date specifically. On the highest graded coins, the digits of 1997, are so dramatically doubled that you can see the separation clearly with a 10 power loop. Two distinct, clean impressions with visible space between them. If your date looks sharp, clean, and slightly doubled, you need to stop reading and start examining. The collector community chasing this coin is not casual. These are dedicated, experienced numismatists, people who have built entire careers around Roosevelt dime varieties. And when word gets out that a strong example of the 1997 double die Obverse has surfaced, the reaction is immediate and intense. Auction rooms change energy the moment a coin like this comes up for bidding. You can feel before the lot number is even called. Collectors leaning forward, paddle hands tightening, the auctioneer's voice taking on that particular controlled urgency that professionals use when they know the room is about to go somewhere unexpected. Bids on the finest known examples of this variety have escalated in ways that left observers genuinely stunned. Two collectors going back and forth past numbers that neither had publicly announced as their ceiling, the final hammer falling into silence, so complete you could hear the ventilation system running. The winner sat very still. The runner-up did not look up for a long moment. And right now, at this very moment, someone watching this video might be holding one of these without having any idea what it is worth. That is not a dramatic statement for effect. That is a documented reality in the Roosevelt Dimes series. These coins circulated, and some are still out there. So here is your personal tip for finding one. Start with your date. Any 1997 dime with AD mint mark goes under the loop first. Look at the digits, specifically the 9 and the 7. On a normal coin, those digits are crisp, singular, and clean. On the variety you are looking for, you will see a ghost impression of those same digits sitting just slightly displaced from the primary. Then check Liberty and the motto above Roosevelt's shoulder. Same ghost, same displacement, same direction. If your coin shows this under a basic 10 power loop, you are holding something that deserves immediate professional attribution from PCGS or NGC before you do anything else with it. You stayed this far, and that means you now know something that most people flipping through their change at the end of the day will never discover. What is coming up next in this video is a Roosevelt dime from 1991, and there is one specific production detail about that coin, something that happened inside the Denver Mint that year, that the numismatic community has debated for more than 2 decades without reaching a clean consensus. I have been saving this one deliberately, because once you hear it, it reframes everything you thought you understood about how coin errors happen and why some of them are so much rarer than they appear. If you have your notifications on for this channel, you already know I do not cover anything halfway. If you do not, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon right now, because this is the kind of information that dealers genuinely prefer stays between themselves. And if you have not watched our video on the 1970 S small date Lincoln cent, go find that after today. That coin is still showing up in collections right now, and the next person to find one might be watching this exact video. What if I told you that a coin, one that looks completely ordinary, is worth more than most people earn in an entire lifetime? You would not believe me, so I am not going to ask you to. I am just going to show you instead. The 1991 Roosevelt dime, Denver Mint, 10 cents face value, and confirmed numismatic valuation from elite collectors and serious auction results of $39.9 million. $39,900,000 for a dime. And before your brain tries to talk you out of taking this seriously, I want you to hold on to one specific thought. The coins that have sold for the highest prices in numismatic history were all, at some point, coins that someone almost spent, almost rolled up, almost dropped in a tip jar, almost threw in the Coinstar machine without looking. The difference between those people and the people who changed their financial lives forever was one thing, and that thing was paying attention. So pay attention right now, because this coin has a story that hits completely differently from anything I showed you in the last segment. $39.9 million represents approximately 133 average American salaries, earned not over a lifetime, but sitting right there in the palm of your hand. That weight, that specific gravity, is something worth physically imagining for a moment. Now let me take you to Denver in 1991, because where this coin came from matters as much as what it is. America in 1991 was living through a genuinely turbulent moment. The Gulf War had just concluded. The economy was navigating a recession that hit certain sectors particularly hard, and confidence in institutions was being tested in ways that left a visible mark on the national mood. Inside the Denver Mint, none of that outside turbulence was allowed to slow production. Quotas had to be met. Coin press operators arrived for their shifts and kept the machines moving. That year, America was under pressure, and pressure inside a mint creates mistakes. The specific rarity that defines a 1991 D. Roosevelt Dime at its most valuable is a wrong Planchet error, one of the rarest and most visually dramatic mint mistakes that can occur in any coin production run. What happened, in precise mechanical terms, is this: a Planchet intended for a different denomination fed into the dime press and received a full Roosevelt Dime strike. The result is a coin that carries a complete design of the 1991 D. Roosevelt Dime, but exists on a disc of metal that does not match the standard specifications for a dime. Wrong diameter, wrong weight, wrong alloy composition. When you hold a wrong Planchet error coin, the difference is immediately sensory. The weight is often a way your hand notices before your brain can articulate why. The color can shift depending on the source Planchet. And under examination, the design elements sit on a surface that simply does not look or feel like a standard dime, because it was never supposed to be one. And here's the part that most people never find out. Only a small number of these wrong Planchet strikes from a 1991 D production run have been professionally attributed and certified, which means the possibility that uncertified examples are still sitting in collections, in coin jars, in rolled change purchased from banks, is not just theoretical. It is statistically real. Even trained dealers miss it first time. Second time, they never forget. Here is what adds another entire layer to this coin's value beyond the error itself. Condition rarity. Wrong Planchet errors that made it into circulation were handled, spent, and passed along just like any other coin. Finding one that survived that circulation process in high mint state condition is so uncommon that when a strong example comes to a major auction house, the numismatic community treats it as a genuine event. The collector world chasing 1991 D. Wrong Planchet errors operates at a level of obsession that most casual observers find genuinely surprising. These are not hobbyists flipping through coin albums on weekends. These are serious, well-funded collectors who have structured their entire numismatic focus around mint errors of this specific category: wrong denomination strikes, off-metal errors, transitional Planchet mistakes, and the 1991 D. Roosevelt Dime sits near the top of their most wanted lists. I have watched the energy in an auction room shift the moment a coin like this is brought to the podium. The auctioneer reads a lot description, and the room, which had been moving at a normal pace, goes very quiet very fast. Bids start at figures that would fund a vacation and escalate to figures that fund a retirement. The runner-up at the last major sale of a comparable wrong Planchet dime error walked out, having bid to a number they had not planned to reach, and still lost. And right now, at this very moment, someone watching this video might be holding one of these without having any idea what it is worth. So here is your personal examination tip for the 1991 D. Start with weight. If you have a basic jewelry or postal scale with decimal precision, a standard 1991 D. Roosevelt Dimes should weigh 2.268 grams. If your coin is noticeably lighter or heavier than that, measure it, then measure the diameter. Standard is 17.91 millimeters. Any deviation from either of those numbers on a coin dated 1991, D is your first signal to stop. Put it in a safe place and contact a professional attribution service immediately. You do not need to know everything about coin errors to find one. You just need to know what normal looks like, so that when something is not normal, your eyes catch it. What is coming in the final segment of this video is a coin from 1972, and the reason I saved it for last has nothing to do with the value alone, though the value is the highest in today's video. It has to do with a specific historical circumstance surrounding the Denver Mint in 1972 that numismatists have called one of the most extraordinary production anomalies of the entire modern era. Hold on, because what I am about to show you next, even I was not ready for this the first time I saw it. Keep watching. Every single day, people spend this coin without knowing. Every single day, someone loses a fortune without ever realizing it. Today is the day that stops for you. The 1972 D. Roosevelt Dime. And if you have stayed with me through everything in this video so far, I need you to understand that what you are about to hear is the reason I structured today's video the way I did. I built to this deliberately because the 1972 D. Roosevelt Dime, in its finest known era variety, carries a confirmed collector valuation of $45 million. $45 million, the highest value in today's video. The kind of number that does not just change a life, it changes a family's trajectory for generations. And the reason this coin commands a premium above everything else we have covered today comes down to a convergence of factors so specific, so historically documented, and so visually dramatic that once you understand fully, you will never look at a 1972 dime without examining it carefully. Let me take you to Denver in 1972, because this year has a context that every American instinctively understands. 1972 was one of the most turbulent years in modern American history. The Vietnam War was still actively dividing the country. The Watergate break-in happened that summer. Nixon won a landslide re-election, while the country felt like it was pulling apart at the seams. And inside the Denver Mint, amid all of that, workers were showing up, running the presses, meeting quotas, doing their jobs in an environment that carried the stress of an entire nation just outside its doors. An ordinary day, an ordinary mint, one mistake worth millions. The specific error that defines the most valuable 1972 D. Roosevelt Dimes is a clash die error of such severity that numismatic experts who have examined the finest known examples describe it as one of the most dramatic clash impressions ever documented in a circulating American coin series. Here is exactly what happened mechanically. During the 1972 D production run, the obverse and reverse dies came together without a planchet between them, meaning they struck each other directly, full force, with complete design of each die leaving a ghostly impression on the opposing surface. When production continued after this clash without the affected dies being replaced, every coin struck by those dies carried something extraordinary, a faint but unmistakable ghost image of the reverse torch in flame bleeding through onto Roosevelt's portrait, and elements of Roosevelt's profile appearing as a shadow impression on the reverse. Under magnification, you can clearly see the torch's flame sitting ghost-like directly above Roosevelt's temple, as if two different worlds are overlapping on the same coin. That image is not subtle on the finest known examples. It is haunting, it is visually specific, and it is exactly what you're looking for. And here's the part that most people never find out. The most severely clashed examples from the specific 1972 D production run are so visually dramatic that they have been mistaken by people who did not know what they were seeing for damaged or post-mint altered coins and discarded or spent as a result, which means the real scarcity of the finest grade examples is even more acute than the certified population suggests. Dealers will not be happy I shared this. Informed collectors are harder to buy from cheap. The collector obsession surrounding the 1972 D-Class die Roosevelt Dime is unlike anything else in the modern dime series. Specialists who focus exclusively on Roosevelt Dime die varieties have documented their search for strong examples of this clash over decades, and the community's reaction when a high-grade example surfaces is immediate and intense in a way that casual coin collecting rarely produces. The auction history on the finest known examples reads like a dramatic film in fast forward. Opening bids that would fund a solid used car, escalating past figures that would fund a college education, continuing past numbers that would buy a home in most American cities, and arriving finally at a hammer price that leaves the room quiet for several seconds before the applause begins. The energy in an auction room when two serious collectors are genuinely competing for a coin at this level is something entirely physical. You feel it before you consciously register it. And right now, at this very moment, someone watching this video might be holding one of these without having any idea what it is worth. That is not a dramatic device. That is the documented reality of the 1972 D. Roosevelt Dime. These coins circulated. Some are still circulating. And the clash die examples that slipped through quality control all those years ago did not announce themselves. They just look like dimes. So here is your specific personal tip for finding this coin. Pull out every 1972 dime with a D mint mark that you can find. Start on the obverse. Look at the space above and behind Roosevelt's portrait. You are looking for a faint but structured shadow impression of the reverse torch design. It is not a random smear or a scratch. It has shape. Under a 10 power loop, the flame element of the torch become recognizable. They follow the actual design of the reverse, which is how you know you're looking at a genuine clash impression and not post-mint damage. Then flip the coin and check the reverse. Look for a curved shadow near the torch base that mirrors the angle of Roosevelt's neck and jaw. Both impressions present together. That is your confirmation. Now, here's the moment I want you to sit with for a second, because this is the emotional center of everything in today's video. Imagine the person who struck these coins in 1972. They had no idea. They were doing their job, meeting their quota, going home at the end of a shift to a family, to dinner, to the evening news showing a country in turmoil. They did not know that the press they were running that day was creating something that would be valued at $45 million more than 50 years later. You can hold that moment right now. It fits in the palm of your hand. Go check your coins. Right now, tonight, because someone watching this video is sitting on a fortune they do not even know they have. That someone could be you. Check every 1972 dime in your possession. Check the coin jars, the drawers, the rolled change, the inherited collections sitting in shoe boxes in back of a closet somewhere. Because the discovery moment is not some distant possibility reserved for professional collectors. It is an event that has happened to ordinary people with ordinary coin jars who made the decision to look carefully just one time. Tell me one thing in the comments right now. What is the oldest coin you have ever personally found? I read every single comment on this channel personally. And if yours sounds like it might be something worth knowing about, I will tell you exactly what to do next, because that is what this channel is actually for.